Clippers from Game 1. Kevin Durant was a non-factor over the final 5 minutes, which came with the Suns down by 6 when this stretch began. 0 shots, 0 free throws attempted during clutch time, did not score in the first and third quarters, still managed to score 27 points because his name is Kevin Durant. So let's talk about it. Is the Suns' season on the line? We're talking about championships and everything else.
Take it away. No, you got to take it away. You got to take it.
I was looking at
Greeny. Oh, man.
Buying time. Look at this.
Because the difference between the Suns and the Warriors is the Warriors are opening on the road to whatever degree. Again, I know it's a short trip. The Suns will be about to go down 2-0, losing both games on their home floor. Is this a must-win for KD and company?
Yes, this is a must-win, and I think unlike the series that we just discussed, the Clippers, I don't see them taking their foot off the gas, should they get up 2-0 in this series. And so, to me, it becomes the reality of the Clippers' depth. It becomes the reality of the Clippers' personnel that can make it as challenging. I get it, KD still had 27, but can make it as challenging on KD as possible. Can essentially neutralize Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton in spots, but Clippers have personnel to match up with that. And then you've got guys on the Clippers roster that are stars in their roles. For Russell Westbrook to be benched in the third, going into the fourth, and then come in and have the biggest 3 possessions of that ball game down the stretch, absolute star in their role.
So explain something to me. Explain how those numbers I just put up there. How does Kevin Durant not get a shot when the game is being decided in the final 5 minutes? When the game is actually happening, how does that take place?
Well, I put the first onus on Kevin Durant. He's one of the best players on the planet. You demand the basketball. You don't be passive. This is not the same situation as it was in Golden State where there was continuity. You're playing with 2 other ball-dominant guards demand the ball. And then secondly, which is I think is a bigger point, Monty Williams got out-schemed. He got out-coached. Ty Lue ran circles around him the entire game. So at the end of the day, we sit here and talk about KD, Devin Booker, CP3, but Monty Williams has to demand other things from his players to get his best player the ball.
Can the reason possibly be that Greeny was right and that when you can't play 8 games together and all of a sudden walk into a playoff environment and have everyone know exactly what their role is and know where these guys still have name tags on their jerseys because they're introducing themselves to each other. And now I don't know where he wants the ball. I don't know where we're going to go. What are we going to do?
What do you mean you don't know whether Kevin Durant wants the damn ball?
Not that he wants it, but where he wants it.
How can't just stand in the corner. He was standing in the corner. The post presser, he's like, I was waiting for the ball to be swung to me. But you can't wait for that.
All that aside, I'm with Jay. Monty Williams has to recognize that my best player, best player, is not getting the shot, he's not getting the ball, and he's not being aggressive. I got to make that happen. He talked about it yesterday and admitted that I got to be better in that. I've got to recognize when he's not getting the ball, we got to get him the ball. And that's something to watch in game 2. But I'll tell you what, must win? No. You know why? Go to L.A. What kind of crowd are you getting in L.A.? It's the Clippers. It's not the Lakers. It's not a home court advantage. The Suns can still win the series down 0-2.
Yeah, and the single biggest reason they are where they are right now is that we sometimes forget that Kawhi, when he gets going, because you don't see it, it's like, what is that thing that you only see every now? Haley's Comet? It just kind of goes by every now and again. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. It's Kawhi Leonard.
Beautiful.
He's like the best player in the entire league. We only get to see it like once every 4 years.
Are you saying Haley's Comet does load management for 8 years?
I'll take it. I'll take it. You only see her once every 3 years. Fine. 2019, Kawhi's back.
I need to see Haley's Comet in the regular season. Jay Will on ESPN Radio, you're the man. Friday night is when we are back with our NBA action here. A trio of Game 3s. We got Celtics Hawks, 7 Eastern on ESPN. Then Cavs Knicks on ABC, 8:30 Eastern. And then Nuggets Timberwolves, 9:30 Eastern on ESPN. All the games available on ESPN Deportes and ESPN Radio. It begins with Draymond Green. Han McNutt, take a look here. Let's pick this thing up with the Warriors and the Kings last night. 7 minutes to go in regulation. Down goes Domantas Sabonis. On top of him goes Draymond Green. And then the stomp heard around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Steps not over him, but on him. But before that, you saw Sabonis flop. And Draymond treating him like a diving board.
Why do we think of this, McNutt?
It has nothing to do with the flop. You grab an ankle, you get stepped on. It's bad math. It's 2 bad plays, but Draymond obviously takes it over the top.
Draymond then getting into it with the fans as only he can, and his night is over. They call a technical on Sabonis. They throw Green out of the game. And from that moment forward, Sacramento's offense lit up. Now, we will see Gary Payton knock down a three from the corner. That leaves this game tied at 93 in the final 5 minutes. But from there, Sacramento's offense picks up. De'Aaron Fox, so clutch all year. He had 24 last night. Klay Thompson keeping the Warriors in it. One of his 5 threes makes this a 1-point game. But in the end, too much. De'Aaron Fox, he's going to win that Clutch Player of the Year award, which is brand new, and he deserves it. Knocks that one down. For the first time under Steve Kerr, the Warriors are down 2-0. Draymond, talk to me.
Draymond, can you just walk us through what happened there?
My leg got grabbed. Second time in 2 nights. Referees just watch it. I got to land my foot somewhere. And I'm not the most flexible person, so it's not stretching that far.
So you didn't really see where you were stepping. You just kind of...
I can only step so far. I'm pulling my leg away. So it is what it is. The explanation was I stumped too hard.
When I felt, I was kind of protecting myself, and then obviously the incident happened, and I feel like there's no room for that in our game today.
Okay, and so in the midst of a series in which the defending champs are down 2-0, all we can talk about this morning is Draymond Green once again. Monica, what are the right things to say about that moment and the impact it has on this team and this championship chase right now?
It's 2 non-basketball plays. Obviously, Sabonis picks up a tech. Draymond gets tossed. I think that's the end of it. I do not think this should be a suspension because of the provocation, if you want to call it, on the part of Sabonis. But more importantly, Draymond has to understand his importance to this squad, right? The Kings have not succumbed to any of his antics, whether you want to talk about the physicality of Game 1 and obviously the results in Game 2 as well. And so he is a pivotal part to this proverbial switching of the switch for the Warriors, and he has to be on the floor. He's got to be better than that.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw, and Jay Will talked about in the previous hour, what we saw defensively, what happened after he left was you had Kevon Looney in drop coverage and pick and roll, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't stay with him. Green, his impact is always on the defensive end, his ability to switch and guard and play in the pick and roll situations. And when you take him off the floor, their defense is exponentially worse. But where does this go from here now? It's 2 points now. You get 4 flagrant points, you get a suspension. That's a guarantee, so he's got to be careful there.
Let's show you exactly what Alan is talking about here. If you take a look at the numbers before and after Draymond's ejection in the fourth quarter, just look at that column on the right. And Sacramento has the best offense in the NBA all year long, and it lit up without Draymond on the floor. So when we say things like, he does things that don't show up in the box score, this is what we mean. His absence was a significant factor last night. Once again, Draymond not being available for his team winds up becoming a huge storyline. So, Monica, I feel like a week ago we were having a conversation. Is this Warriors team about to flip the switch at exactly the right moment? And they got the matchup that everybody seemed to want in the West. And they got Andrew Wiggins back, and now all of a sudden, are they making a run to the finals? There's a funny thing going to happen. Are they going to get knocked out in round 1 by Sacramento?
Listen, Greeny, when I was with you last week, no one impressed me by leaps and bounds when it comes to the Western Conference. And I continue to say I wasn't quite sure why folks thought that this was going to be so easy for the Warriors. That was a team that needed to turn it on. The Kings have been who they are the entire season. And in the first 2 games of this series, we've only seen that continue to come to fruition. The Warriors gave up 118 points per 100 possessions during the regular season. They've given up 120 to the Kings thus far. And as much as you might say their threes are going to fall at Chase Center, are they going to be able to defend in this series enough to earn their way out? And so I would not be shocked if we get a lopsided performance at Chase Center, but the Kings are not afraid at all. They are coming.
And keep in mind, they have the home court advantage in the series, so they got to win. The Warriors have to win a game on the road. Let's also keep something else in mind, too, is that the Warriors have to prove to us they can't win anymore, because when you have a dynastic team like this, you always will believe in them. It took 2014, the Spurs won their championship. That was the end of their run. The very next year, out in the first round. They tried to rebuild with Kawhi, never got back to the promised land. Is this the same place? These all good things do come to an end, and maybe that's what it is, but we don't want to believe it because we've seen this team, 19 straight series wins in the West. We have not seen them in a place like this before. They'll have to prove to us they can't win, I think, before we have lost all faith in the Golden State Warriors.
No, I agree with you. If you want to beat the champ, you got to knock him out.
Yep.
I mean, and I understand that, and that's where we are right now. But I also think it's worth pointing out, because the Kings are not one of the big glamour market teams, and they have not been good in so long. People may not realize how good this team is. They have 2 All-NBA players. All right, Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox are both going to make All-NBA teams this year, and deservedly so. This is not a team that is fortunate to be where they are. They're this good, and at full strength, the Warriors were going to have a tough time with them this week.
Yeah, and maybe we should be framing this as the Warriors chose the least of the evil in terms of whether they wanted to match up with Memphis potentially or wind up playing the Nuggets to open the first round. But I continued to say last week going into this one, the X factor, although those 2 All-NBA players are huge, Greeny, Mike Brown knows this Warriors system like the back of his hand. And he knows the personnel in terms of their defense is not what they had in terms of that run last year. And so for Mike Brown to be very calm on the bench, hey, just keep shooting. And what looks like some terrible shots if you're just sitting at home watching, but he understands that schematically, we're going to run these guys out of the gym. The shots are going to fall. They cannot stop you.
It's why he's going to be Coach of the Year.
Absolutely.
I mean, the job he has done with this team and turned this whole franchise around in 1 year, he got them to believe as well. A young team, a lot of times when they haven't had success, they need to learn to believe, and he's got them believing.
I didn't mention that. They have the Coach of the Year as well. So we have much more basketball as the hour continues, but let me just ask it directly before I go. It's 2-0 Sacramento. Are the Warriors going to get knocked out in round 1? Yes or no, Alan?
Right now, it feels like yes.
Yes. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.